Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to Dr. ETV. Today, I am privileged to be blessed once again with the presence of Dr. Jennifer Freed, Ph.D. Dr. Jennifer is an internationally recognized psychological astrologer. Now, this is a really interesting topic we've touched on before, and if you haven't seen the previous episode, go and watch it. It's absolutely awesome. And she's also the best-selling author of a book called Use Your Planets Wisely, Master Astrology, and the new and upcoming, soon-to-be-released book called A Map to Your Soul. Now, that is a very interesting topic that we're going to be specifically discussing today. Jennifer spent over 30 years consulting worldwide clients on business, social, emotional learning, both in the psychological, spiritual, and educational type topics. Okay, so today we're going to dive deep into this topic that I just briefly discussed, which is a map to your soul. So can you tell me, Dr. Jennifer, before we jump in, firstly, welcome back. It's so good to see you. Please tell us what inspired you to write this new book.
Well, actually, I was asked to write it, but what got me so excited about writing it is I wanted to reach more people to raise consciousness. And that's why you're my brother, because we're doing that together in different ways, all continents. And I think, you know, we all have to do whatever we can to lift this ceiling up and have people realize they're much more than their limitations. So this entire book is about being fully expressed. And that's
I love this.
Yeah, that's what I live for. That's what you live for. And I think people don't realize there's so much more of themselves they can share with the world.
I love this. Okay. You've been coaching people for a very long time, consulting for over 30 years. You would have picked up some trends, seen some patterns. Would you just give us an insight as to when someone is consulting with you or you're coaching someone, they read your book, they experience something, what would you say would be the top 1 to 3 challenges that people are experiencing in their life that you've come across?
Well, when you ask me that, it all boils down to one thing: not knowing who we truly are. And out of that, not knowing who we truly are, which is pure self coming through a channel of a human being, when we don't realize who we are, we mistake ourselves for very small and very self-doubting humans. And I think the biggest challenge I keep running across is if only you could see yourself as I see you, your life would be magnificent.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So this is a powerful message to those watching. What does that mean for you? Where have you been playing small? Where have you been seeing yourself as something less than who and what you really are? Okay, so it's a lack of self-knowing, lack of self-love, and lack of something rather, okay? So what would then be, and I'm just going off the cuff a little bit here, if that's okay, because I just really know that in the time like now, what's happening in the world and what people are experiencing with this, you know, rapid change of reality, this could be very, very useful. So my next question is, okay, great. So we don't know who we are. We've lost ourselves. We've forgotten to love ourselves, or we're playing a small game or pretending to be something that we're not, you know, vice versa, all of the above. What is one of the first steps that someone can take to really start to reconnect with their true self again then?
There's 2 essential steps. One is you have to be around people that vibrate at a higher level of love and creativity. That's why I really recommend everybody work with you, because I know what you're up to and I know you bring it. So one, you have to change the social group you're in or the work group you're in and be around people that remind you of who you really are, not your petty stuff, your higher stuff. Secondly, you have to have a spiritual practice. You know, there's just too much noise out there. And if you don't have a dedicated spiritual practice, you will be seduced by the noise. And the noise is not about transparency, authenticity, and your real self. It's about have more, get more, be somebody else. It's really noisy.
Yeah, I totally agree. And there is so much noise. And we saw that even through what we've been through the last 3 years with all the noise in the world, all the noise in mainstream media, all the noise, you know, in relationships and stress and fear and all that sort of stuff. I love this. Let's reiterate. 1, You must have a conscious social circle that vibrate at a high frequency, because if you do not, people will drag you down to that lower level. So be impeccable with who you have in your inner circle, your conscious community, as I call it. And number two, you must have a spiritual practice. Now, this is not a once in a blue moon meditate kind of thing. This is an opportunity for you to dive into a practice. I have said for over 15 years that yoga has been a very important part in keeping me sane, because I'm a high energy, high impact, highly productive kind of person. I want to excel, I want to achieve, I want to make an impact in this world and leave the world a better place, and that comes with work. And so if I don't have that practice, then I'm not going to vibrate at that frequency either. So this is very critical. I love it, Jen. Now let's do this, guys. If you're watching and if you don't have a practice, right now start taking a mental note or even a pen and paper and write down, what does this spiritual practice look like for you? Is it yoga? Is it breathwork? Is it qigong, tai chi? Is it meditation? Is it whatever else? Can you give us a couple of examples as to what you've learned throughout the years?
Yes, I think it's anything you do repeatedly every single day that connects you with your true nature. This could be cooking, baking. It could be taking long walks with the dog. It's the dedicated time you spend to knowing yourself as the beloved. And whatever that is for that person, they just have to make that the priority instead of all of the obligations that consume our time.
Oh, I absolutely love this. And I think I kind of get across a bit of information here. It's like a non-negotiable, right?
Yes, that's the entire part. That's the piece that I've learned. Like, I remember the other day, I have a practice of saying a lot of positive affirmations to remind me of who I am. And I felt so bad when I woke up. I hadn't slept, whatever. And there's always a voice in your head that says, oh, don't do it today. It's just too hard. And the stronger voice said, today more than ever. Today more than ever. And so you wouldn't, I don't think, go a day without brushing your teeth or drinking a glass of water. Why would you go a day without being with your beloved true nature? It's amazing to me that people think, oh, I don't have time for this. What are you doing?
Yeah. It's a great saying by one of my previous meditation masters that I studied under for a while. He said, if you don't have time to practice 30 minutes of meditation a day, just do 3 hours instead.
Yes, that's the common one, because it's hysterical. The ego thrives on being busy and out of control and craving control. Whereas our true nature can get so much satisfaction in 10 minutes of gazing at a tree.
I love it. In simplicity, we find freedom. I love it. And this is very important for those who I often say are busy, you know, doing masculine things and thinking, overthinking, whatever else. This is a non-negotiable. And I find it so pertinent and interesting. You know, with the first meditation that I ever wrote is called A Journey to the Soul. And what I do is I breathe people through these energy centers and remember who we are, let go of fear, guilt, shame, grief, sadness, anger, illusion, and disconnection. And here we are talking about your new book, which is called A Map to Your Soul. So can you tell us, what can people expect from that book called A Map to Your Soul? What an awesome title, by the way.
Thank you. Well, it is 12 chapters, each a standalone chapter, that are about how to tap into your full self-expression in these domains of life, like self-presentation, deeper values, connection and communication, your actual living space, creativity and love, health, partnerships, sexuality, belief systems, education, career, what I call your sacred crew, and then spirituality.
Oh, beautiful. This is good. And I love it how you break it down into these different chapters, because this gives us an opportunity to really see not only what a chapter would be, but also what an important pillar in life would be. I think this is so critical to understand. You know, it's kind of like if we don't have the awareness of this now, it'll come to us through suffering. This is my philosophy. If I don't get it right, like if I don't meditate, if I don't, you know, go for a surf, if that's what I love, or for me, you know, I do fitness and breath work and movement and yoga and all sorts of things, and silence, sitting in silence. This is one of the greatest healings I've ever experienced. And so if I don't do that, let's be clear, if I don't do that, it ends with suffering. Suffering is not always, for me, something wrong with me, but my soul saying, hey, you haven't done you. So I'll make you feel the way you're supposed to feel when you haven't done you. And I think this is such important universal feedback. If we can practice these principles, we can begin to feel and experience life so much better, right?
Well, I think you're talking about a compassionate feedback system. It's a self-correcting system. And so it's not that hard to get the real sense of well-being if you're paying attention. You know, so many people are running to doctors or running to the next diet or running to this. And actually, a lot of that could be avoided if they spent the time just listening to the feedback they're already getting on a minute-to-minute basis about what actually creates well-being.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Universal feedback. Love it. Okay, let's do this. You got this new book, right? It's this amazing concept. People should be looking into it, purchasing it, doing some of your work. That's why I wanted you on again, because our last conversation, I was like, yes. Flow, synchronicities, alignment. I want your message to my people, to our community, because it's been life-changing for me, these principles that you speak of. If we were to take this book, okay, a map to your soul, and we were to take a key message. I always love this. I spent so much money, millions, up to 2 million in personal development. Seriously, traveling the world. And I had a rule, right? I had a rule. The rule was I would always take at least one thing from the seminar, the course, the coaching, the book, the you know, whatever, and I'd apply it in my life. If we take this book, this masterpiece coming up, what would you say is a key takeaway from that book that people can expect?
Okay, get ready. This is the key takeaway.
Okay, cool.
If you take the time to fully develop and offer your gifts to this world in full self-expression, not only will you be much happier, but everyone around you will benefit.
I love it. It's like a door that hasn't been opened, but when you do, life is completely different. And I see it. And what's the concept here? I mean, be thyself, learn thyself, know thyself, express thyself. I think this is so important. What's next on the cards for you, Jen?
Well, did you say clouds?
What's next on the cards? What are you up to next?
Oh, cards. I heard you say
could be.
I thought that's what I'm kind of thinking about. Well, I am proudly turning 65 in January. Woo. And what I've decided now that I'm successful and have this great book and all of this is that I just want to work very exclusively and intently with people that want to grow maximally. And so I'm going to be doing just some coaching with a few people. I'm going to continue writing, and I'm going to take time to travel the world and come do a workshop with you in Australia.
Yes, that's cool. We talked about that last time. I'd love to.
I really want to. I feel like as an elder, which I think is a very important designation, and you can either be an older or an elder. An older is just trying to just get to the finish line, right? But there's not much juice. I feel like in my age, I've learned so much, and it's come through a lot of effort, suffering, and joy. I want to pass on what I know. I want to make my pain count. I want to make my joy count. And I want to be with like-minded people who just need a boost up. So that's what I'm about, and very, very grateful. Like, I'm filled with gratitude.
I can sense it and see it as well. That's so special.
What I want to do, you know, this is a life. When you actually wake up every day saying, I choose this. This is what I'd like to do. This is who I'd like to be with.
I love that. Be the master of our own reality. Create our own dream life. No one's going to do it for us, right?
No, and I think the part that a lot of people misunderstand that are in the younger generations, whatever that might be, younger than me, is this doesn't mean that you have to wait till you feel good to do it.
Oh, this is good. This is important. Please clarify. This is really key.
Well, I know when I was 20 something and I wanted to be in good shape, I kept waiting to wake up and feel like doing it, and it never worked out. And I think it's like you've got to work against resistance of the negative energy that's in the social field, and just do the hard, good things for yourself so that they build a stronger self that wants to do the hard, good things.
Oh, I love this. Just to be clear, when you feel like, oh, I don't feel like meditating, that's when you meditate. When you feel like, oh, I need to eat food, well, that's when you intermittent fast. When you feel like I need to keep on pushing through this stressful time, that's when you take a breath, do some stretching, do some breath, whatever. And this is the key. And I call this voluntarily putting myself into good stress. Okay.
Oh.
So
yeah.
And I do it deliberately. I have this saying, right? When I burn out, and this is me as an athlete kind of thing. I always say, when I burn out physically, I never burn out mentally. And what I mean by that is that I put myself into deliberate, uncomfortable, good stress situations, such as my yoga practice. Yeah. Am I busy? Have I got more emails to reply to? Yes. Do I feel like doing yoga right now? Well, my ego, no. So yes, I will go and do it. But after that yoga, I drive to yoga like this. Ooh, someone cuts you off in traffic. This is just a hypothetical example. Yeah. Someone cuts me off in traffic. I'm like, asshole, right? And then I do yoga. Someone cuts me off in traffic. I'm like, namaste.
Yeah,
right.
Same. It's very similar. But I think we have to help people understand when the ego is signaling and when the spirit soul is signaling. It's a different signal, and you have to have a way to know who's calling you. Because the ego can be very tricky, and it can say, oh, no, actually, I've got a better idea for you right now than to do your meditation practice. Actually, call back so-and-so. You've got to go, well, what part of me is speaking and how do I listen? And I think that takes so much deep introspection, and the world doesn't really applaud that. But we need this introverted time. We need time to read good poets, read great inspiring books, listen to incredible speakers and podcasters. We need to fill ourselves with the good stuff so we know the difference.
This is very cool. And cut out all the negative stuff. It's funny you should say reading good stuff. I'm sitting here reading the Tao as we speak, just opening up, having a look at some amazing stuff, right? And it's just making sure that putting stuff like this into our minds every day is critical. So I'd like to call upon action right now for those watching, for those listening. What is it in your life now that has been missing? What practice needs to be in place? Where do you need to devote yourself to a practice that will truly bring out who you are from that place of love, joy, and that higher frequency? What is it that you love to do that you haven't done for a while? How could you possibly even have an accountability partner in your life? I have personal trainers in my life. I go to yoga with people so that I know that they will be waiting for me and I will go. So I put the blueprint in place in my life so that I know that even though sometimes my self-discipline may falter, which is becoming less and less of an occurrence now, I have the accountability measures and the system in place for me to expand my consciousness and increase my frequency over time, because it's, as you said, just a non-negotiable for me to live an incredible life. So that's something for everyone to consider as well. Any final words to our community, Jen?
Well, I want to thank you because I feel so aligned with what you are and who you are and how you express it. And also your community from the last show was so kind to me that now I think Australians are particularly the most sweet and grand people on the planet, because really I got an outpouring of appreciation and gratitude. And that's the other piece of this. If you are feeling in lack, go appreciate someone else. Be grateful to someone else. That energy alone will boost your immune system and your mindset. So I want to say thank you, truly, for honoring me and welcoming me as you have. And it's a pleasure to be around you.
Oh, thank you so much. And our community really appreciates it as well. And we are excited to see Dr. Jen Fried here in Australia on the stage, whenever that might be.
It's coming up. Thank you
It's
so
coming
much.
up. Thank you
Okay.
for giving us another map to the soul. We really greatly appreciate it.
Okay. Have a great evening or day.
See you next time.
Okay, bye-bye.